Welcome back to That's Life Podcast with
Leah
and Sean. And if you haven't, please go do so. Like, subscribe, and share at our platforms on YouTube, Facebook, and Spotify.
Absolutely. Make sure that you show us some love. I know it's been a while since you guys have seen a live show from us. We've been some busy ladies. So we had to do some pre-recorded shows, but we're back and we're glad to be live with you all tonight.
Yes.
When you come in, of course, show some love to us. Let us know that you're in the building so we can show some love back to you. But before we kick straight off into our show, our special sponsor of the night is Carnissa Luxe. Talisa is actually doing a promotion right now for all you ladies and even gentlemen trying to get your hair braided. Make sure that you show her some love because she's got promotions running all the way until the 30th of the month. And she's doing $20 off any services. So if you're interested in booking with her, you can do so on her IG page at Carnissa Luxe. In case you don't know where her information is, it's right below on the ticker too. So utilize that in your spirit as well. We also have advertisements for all small businesses. If you're looking to advertise your business or product for That's Life, consider using our platform. We have flyers and video advertisements just for you. And as you can see, we will be running the ticker all throughout the show. So why not advertise your business while you're on here, okay? So in tonight's show, we're going to talk about how to build a great resume. A lot of people now are getting ready to change positions. We have a lot of people that are now starting their careers, a lot of college students now graduating and going out into the job field. High schoolers that are graduating from high school are now going out into the real world. And so we're going to talk about some good ways to get your resume looking beautiful and getting employers to look at you and not look at everybody else, right? Our special guest is LaTanya Nikki Miles. We're so excited about having her on the show. We're going to give you some tips and tools on how to get the best resume. And this is a Q&A session. So if you have questions, drop them in the box. We're going to answer them all throughout the show. And just make sure that you bring a friend while you're at it, okay? So we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about how to build a great resume. We'll be right back.
Follow us on Spotify, YouTube, and Facebook at That's Life Podcast with Leah and Sean. Follow us on IG and TikTok at That's Life with Leah and Sean.
Hey guys, my name is Talisa McKnight, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and about my business and answer a couple of questions that I get on a daily basis. So I own Carnissa Luxe Hair Braiding Services. I'm 18 years old. I am a home-based hairstylist, and I will also travel. I've known how to braid hair since I was 4 years old. I started accepting clients a little bit over 3 years ago, and I started Carnissa Luxe a year ago. Some of the services I offer are knotless braids, tribal braids, cornrows, island twists, invisible locks, quick weaves, braided ponytails. However, I do offer invisible locks. I don't do any type of natural locks or soft locks. Another thing you should know about my business is I am text and DM to book only. With that being said, please follow me on Instagram at Carnissa Luxe. Thank you guys. Bye.
First Ladies Automotive Repair is a mobile repair service in the Atlanta area. Our mission is to provide efficient service with a personal touch. Let's take the stress away and get you back in gear. To book your appointment, email us at firstladiesautomotiverepair@gmail.com. To check out our services, go to our Facebook at First Ladies Automotive Repair. Welcome back to That's Life Podcast with
Leah
and Sean.
Thank you so much for tuning in tonight as we talk about how to build a resume with our very special guest, LaTanya Nikki Miles. Before we start our show, we give you stats, but we're going to show love to all those that are in. Hey, Mr. Hoodie, thank you so much for tuning in to tonight's show. And of course, our baby. Hey, Carmen, make sure that you show love to us. We're going to show love to you. We're going to talk about how to build the perfect resume. Before we start with our official questions of the night, Sean is actually going to read the first statistic of the evening. Okay, so Sean, take it away.
This is from standout.com. Some key stats from 2023. Every live job advert receives an average of 250 resumes. Recruiters spend just 6 to 8 seconds reviewing resumes. 55% of Americans have lied on their resume at least once. 75% of resumes are rejected by ATS software and never seen by a human eye. Less than 1 in 10 resumes reach the hiring manager of advertised jobs. 3 in 10 resumes are rejected for having an unprofessional email address. Job seekers spend an average of 1 hour and 10 minutes completing their resume.
And these are statistics that are real deal. And I know that a lot of people are saying to themselves, like, really, that's how it is? Yeah. Sometimes your resume gets picked by AI. It's not even picked by an actual live person. So what you put on your resume could definitely leave an imprint on how employers see you and just in general as a whole. Before we ask our questions, we're excited about introducing our guest, LaTanya Nikki Miles. And we're going to see which name she wants us to call us, because we're all about supporting her and, of course, making sure she's comfortable on the show. But Miss Miles, thank you so much for being a part of our show tonight.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. This is a great opportunity. So I'm glad to be here and share my knowledge and expertise, especially on this particular topic, because it has changed tremendously over the years and it's steady changing. So thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we're glad to have her on the show, considering the fact that she's actually not even in the state of Georgia, she's in Texas. So y'all show some love to her, because as you very well know, Texas got hit with a lot of storms this past week. And we're just so grateful that she's a part of this platform and to give you guys her expertise and advice on how you can have the perfect resume. So thank you so much for being a part of our show tonight. Tell the people a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay. So my name is LaTanya, and my family calls me Nikki, but professional platform, we can use LaTanya, it's fine. So I am a career service and academic advisor for a local community college, but I have my own business, Tailormade Resumes, that I started way back, maybe 2010, 2011, with my mom, actually. We're both laid off at the same time. And so just trying to figure out how to keep income coming in and, you know, what we can be doing during that idle time. I was like, you know what? I've always written resumes. I've been writing resumes even before I knew that there was an actual industry, paid industry for it. And so we sat down and brainstormed, and Tailormade was born. But I have about 20 years of resume writing, career advising experience. And just, you know, as I mentioned before, writing a resume to me is like an art, and it has changed from the way I've seen them, have written them, to where they are now. And being a career service advisor for a college, I do get to see all walks of life, those high school graduates, those college graduates, those in-betweeners, those career changers, military. So it has just been, for me, I enjoy doing it. I mean, it's a passion of mine. I'm literally up probably 3 to 4 nights out of the week until 1, 2 a.m. just writing, research, and just trying to keep my skills sharp. And so it's just something that I really, really enjoy doing, capturing somebody's story, professional story, and putting it on a document for them, because I feel like a lot of people don't really know how to convey what they do on paper. They can talk about it, but which is great. But to get that foot in the door, those hiring managers, they want to see it first.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do this show, because I think a lot of times when we think about resume building, we think that it's a one-stop shop and that you could do it one time. But as things progress, as technology progresses, employers progress, your resume has to do the same thing. And so it's important to have that kind of dialogue and conversation. Sean is going to ask you the first question of the night. So Sean.
Okay, LaTanya, what are some mistakes that people make when building a resume?
I think you guys hit it right on the head, thinking that a resume is just that one cookie cutter document of your employment history, and it is not that at all. I think that people feel like a resume is going to get them the job. It's going to right of that hiring manager or potential recruiter. You still have to go in and speak about your experiences in person. So I think a lot of people think, oh, if I have this amazing resume, I'm going to get the job. That's not the case. I think another mistake people make when putting a resume together is they put their entire employment history back from, I don't want to date myself, but back from like 1992, like when their first job was McDonald's and, retail up till now. And again, that's not the case. Your resume is not an autobiography. So it is not necessary to go from the beginning of time. Anywhere between 3 to 7 years is good, unless your earlier history is relevant to the industry or the particular position you are applying for. And I think another mistake is the formatting. Again, thinking that a resume has to be a certain way. That's not the case. As long as you have, now there are the, there are the sections that you want to have, but you can get a little creative to show your personality through your resume within certain limits. So I think those are some of the mistakes I think people make when putting a resume together.
Absolutely. And one of the things we talked about is that recruiters only look at your resume up to 10 seconds. So if you put a bunch of things on there,
yes,
they're not looking at it. So it's almost kind of like a waste of really your time to try to put additional things on there that might not even be relevant. Right. And we're going to talk about some tips and tools and things that you can do to make sure that you're on the right track when it comes to resume building, because a lot of times that's what kind of kicks us in the butt later on if we're honest about not being able to nail that job.
Right.
Absolutely. Sean's got the next question. So, Sean,
should a resume be 2 pages?
That's a great question.
Oh, that's a good question. I'm going to say no. It should not be 2 pages. One, like you just mentioned, they're only going to give your resume a quick glance. So if you do not capture their attention within that first 6 to 10 second window, they're surely not going to take the time to read 2 pages. Now, it's only okay for 2 pages if, like I said before, that information is relevant. And I know for sometimes with military, when they make that transition, they do have those long 2-page resumes, right? And so I understand coming from military back into civilian that, if you're taught one way and now you're telling me I got to switch all that, get all of that information onto one page, that's hard for them. But no, you want to keep it 1 page. On an application, put as many jobs as you want to on there, but it's not necessary for a 2-page resume at all. Think about when you are shopping, whether it's in person at the mall, Target, Walmart, or even online. If something doesn't capture your eye, if that display window or those window the mannequins in the window, if they don't catch your attention, you're not going to go into that store at all.
Sure.
If you see something online and you're just like, I'm not looking at that, you're going to keep passing it. You're going to pass it. So one page is good, making sure that, you have that your contact information is right there in front, and a really strong professional summary. And I'll get into more of that as we go through the interview.
And I absolutely love the fact that you use the analogy about the store, because that is an important factor. Like when you go into a grocery store, the thing is, if you walk in, what is present? The things that attract people, right? So the vibrant colors, the marketing, the buy one get one free, all those things attract you. So think about it in that sense as a recruiter too, is that if you're not putting something that's really kind of wowing, they're not going to look at it. And like I said, we talked about it a little bit earlier that AI has taken over what used to be a kind of arduous process for employers and supervisors and leads. And so, AI is definitely taking charge as it relates to the resume game.
And I'm gonna be honest, on my side, I don't even want to do the 1 page for resume. I definitely don't want to do 2 pages.
Right, 2 pages. Right. And a lot of people have 2 pages worth, like you said, but still, like it's 2 pages of information that you have to scan through and go through thoroughly. That's
right. And then want to save something too for when you get that interview, right? Like if I read everything about you in those 2 pages, it just kind of puts that recruiter like in that weird space, like, okay, well, you pretty much told me everything here.
What's left?
What is there really to talk about? So you just want to give them a
Yeah, for surely, absolutely. All right, so I got the next question. My question is it important to have a cover letter? And then the follow-up question is, if so, what are some things that should be included in a cover letter?
I'm all for cover letters. I think they are extremely important. In that cover letter, you can go into a lot more detail than your resume. That cover letter is the complement to the resume. Again, I love my analogies, like a movie trailer, right? That cover letter is like that preview of, this is who I am, this is my experience, this is what I have to offer, what I can bring to the table. Cover letter is also really good because that employer can see your writing and your communication style right up front. And you are able to, again, just kind of express your interest in that position. For those career changers that may not have that immediate experience, you can put in that cover letter how your experience, what you have, could transfer into the position you are applying for. So yes, cover letters are amazing. I highly recommend including a cover letter.
Absolutely. I always said this, and people laugh when I say this, but I feel like the cover letter is the foundation of the house. If you don't lay the foundation, then everything that's on top of it is shaky, right? Yes. So you have to kind of start off really good so that everything else is stabilized, because if not, it's going to kind of go downhill.
I'm guilty of not having a cover letter.
And that's okay. We're going to talk about some things that you can do in terms of sprucing up your cover letter too, because that's a part of resume building as well. So we're going
to, and like you said, it's a package. So I like to, when I write my resumes and cover letters, I use the exact same heading that I use on the resume on the cover letter, because they go together. And so I think that's a key thing to keep in mind too, because believe it or not, the recruiters, they are bombarded with resumes and all of these things. For you to just take that extra time to put that detail there, then I would definitely gravitate to your documents versus somebody that has a really nice resume heading and then your cover letter is like lackluster, so.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, that makes sense.
Great way to end the second segment. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about how to build a great resume with our special guest, LaTanya Miles. If you're in the building, please make sure that you drop some questions in the box. This is a Q&A session. So we're going to answer as many questions as we can during our show and get you on the road to getting the great resume that you deserve, okay? So we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to continue on the conversation of how to build a resume. We'll be right back.
1 out of 8. 1 out of every 8 women are diagnosed with breast cancer. Walking on an unpaved road, a story of life, faith, healing, and redemption. It's my story, a journey when I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2017. In June of 2020, I decided to chronicle my journey of breast cancer. My intention was to educate, empower, and encourage women that look just like me. For all those that are in the fight, know that I stand in solidarity with you. You could purchase your copy of Walking on an Unpaved Road on Amazon and stay tuned for the digital release of our book in 2025. Thank you for all your love and support. And for those that are in the fight, know that I stand in solidarity with you. You thought the journey was over? It's not over till it's over. In 2017, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. It was a journey that I went through for 2 years and went into remission. In 2021, I was diagnosed again with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. This journey has challenged me and stretched me beyond places I couldn't believe. Yet Still I Rise is part 2 of the life that I'm living with breast cancer. It is still here to educate, empower, and encourage women who are just like me on the breast cancer journey. Our pre-sales will start in June of 2024 as the book will be due to release next year in 2025. Please support me as you once did in purchasing our second book, Yet Still I Rise. For all those that are going through breast cancer and metastatic breast cancer, know that I'm on your side.
Welcome back to That's Life Podcast with
Leah
and Shaun.
Thank you so much for tuning in tonight as we talk about how to build a great resume with LaTanya Miles. We were talking about some important things, including cover letters and all kind of good stuff. And as you come in, drop some questions on the box because you know we got those in the 4th segment. We're going to be answering those questions in the 4th segment. So my question to you, LaTanya, is it okay to use AI to build your resume? Why or why not?
So AI is new to all of us, right? So I think we're still trying to embrace that, see what all it can do, and how to use it effectively. I'm on the fence with that because I will say that I do use it, but only after I write the resume out myself. And then I will just kind of use it for like that extra set of eyes just to make sure that it sounds professional, that the sentence structure is together and things like that. I don't think I would solely rely on it. But I know that it is a great tool to use. If you do decide to use it, I mean, with anything, just be cautious of the things that you put in to that chat box, and making sure that the final product is really, truly a reflection of your qualifications and your experiences, because what you don't want to do is put something on there that's not true. And then now you get called out on it like, okay, well, the resume said you was fluent in French. So let me hear that, and you're like, what? Where did I put that at? So just use it as an additional reference, but not to solely create it.
Absolutely. I can get that. And we're going to talk about AI. That's actually another conversation we're going to be talking about for season 11, and how AI has impacted our world that we lived in, because AI has definitely changed the game as it relates to resume building, as it relates to really anything, including, like you said, grammatical and all those things. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Shaun,
how far back should, yes, I've got it. I got you. How far back should we go when we're making our resume?
Great question.
I'm going to say anywhere from 3 to 7. Ideally for me, 3 to 5, but 3 to 7 is doable. It's doable. Yeah. Now, if it is relevant, then you can go back a little further, but for the most part, just kind of keep it. What have you been doing these last 3 to 5 years, 3 to 7 years?
That makes sense.
Well, I could tell you on my resume, I got some problems because I'm way back.
Is it relevant?
Well, it's relevant to the current job that I'm doing right now, so I guess that works. But it's still way back.
Okay. Pushing it to 2 pages?
It was.
Okay. All right. All right. Latonya, my question is, what do you believe are some key things that employers want to see on a resume? Because that's the most important part of the resume process. What should an employer or recruiter want to see as it relates to the job itself?
Right. So I think the common strand that we've been following is relevancy, first and foremost. 2, concise summaries, measurable achievements. Okay. If you, and I've seen this all the time, if you have been a supervisor, if you have done anything, leadership, management, especially sales, if you have improved any processes, things like that, quantify those experiences. People like numbers. We are a number-driven society. So instead of saying something to the effect, supervised a team of in the accounting department, how many people did you supervise? Right? Especially sales. If you hit a huge benchmark or anything like that, quantify that. That really shows what you're capable of, and an employer can say, oh wow, okay, well, if LaTanya did this over at this company, she can surely bring that particular skill set and maybe double, triple that. And making sure that your resume is not just a simple laundry list of duties. You do not want to cut and paste a job description. They want achievements. They want those measurable outcomes. What did you do to make this job better, whether it was an improvement of a process? Let's talk about those things. I can look, or I have a general idea of what an administrative assistant does, but what did you do specifically in that role? Did you improve a process? Did you streamline, X, Y, and Z? Did you wait time, or what have you? What did you do specifically in this role that you can bring to my company?
Absolutely. I absolutely love that, because I think sometimes we, like you said, we think of a resume as a laundry list of jobs, but really it's about making yourself shine and the accomplishments and the skills that you have And it's bigger than just like, okay, I'm proficient in Microsoft Office or something like that. It's got to be a lot more entailed and more detailed than that.
Yeah. And it helps because I never thought about putting it down that way. I just put down like, well, this was my job duties was. Never thought to put in what I did and how I made this different or the pros of me.
What the differences that we do. Absolutely. We don't think about those things because we think of the resume as like we said, the application, as opposed to it being kind of like your Bible. Like this is what's in the Bible. This is what's here in front of you. Right. And so being able to, like you said, show people another side and another dimension of yourself. Absolutely.
Use those action words too, to describe what you did, effectively led this team to increase, sales 30%. Action words and buzzwords are really huge, and they want to see that.
Absolutely. For sure. This is great conversation, y'all. Make sure that when you come in, drop your questions in the box because we're going to be actually asking them in the next segment. But you know what time it is, y'all. It's halftime. This is our minute with someone, whether it's a minute with the mechanic or a minute with the savings queen. But tonight we're going to do something funny and teach you a little bit about Scoville units. So it's all about the minute with the Flavor King.
Get your water ready.
Welcome to a minute with the Flavor King. Today we're going to be talking about Scoville units. Scoville units, named after Wilbur Scoville, is the unit of measure of spiciness in peppers and hot sauce and anything. So on that scale, it's a chemical compound called capsaicin. Capsaicin is literally just the chemical in peppers that make it spicy. On the lowest part of the Scoville unit is the bell pepper, which is 0 Scoville units. So we're gonna bite into it. It's not spicy. It's a low heat. It's no heat whatsoever. The next on that list, which is a poblano pepper, it's between the bell pepper and the jalapeno. It's a little more than a bell pepper. It's not a lot though. The next on that list is a jalapeno. Jalapeno is between poblano and Scotch bonnet. The seeds make it spicier, so it's a natural chemical. And now for the last one, Scotch bonnet. This one, don't try it at home, guys, because this is really spicy. Oh, help me, guys! And now you have it. That's a minute with the Flavor King. Can I have some more ice now, Mom?
First Ladies Automotive Repair is a mobile repair service in the Atlanta area. Our mission is to provide efficient service with a personal touch. Let's take the stress away and get you back in gear. To book your appointment, email us at firstladiesautomotiverepair@gmail.com. To check out our services, go to our Facebook at First Ladies Automotive Repair.
Hey guys, my name is Talisa McKnight, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and about my business and answer a couple of questions that I get on a daily basis. So I own Carnissa Luxe Hair Braiding Services. I'm 18 years old. I am a home-based hairstylist, and I will also travel. I've known how to braid hair since I was 4 years old. I started accepting clients a little bit over 3 years ago, and I started Carnissa Luxe a year ago. Some of the services I offer are knotless braids, tribal braids, cornrows, island twists, invisible locks, quick weaves, braided ponytails. However, I do offer invisible locks. I don't do any type of natural locks or soft locks. Another thing you should know about my business is I am text and DM to book only. With that being said, please follow me on Instagram at Carnissa Luxe. Thank you guys. Bye.
Welcome back to That's Life Podcast with
Leah
and Shaun
and LaTanya, as we talk about how to build a great resume. This has been a really good show, and we still have more to give you, including tips and tools. But before we go there, we have questions in the box from all those that drop questions from the Q&A. So we're going to start at the very top with Miss Carmen, who is a teenager. Let me say this, and let me just say this before we even ask this question. This show isn't just for older people. This is definitely for our younger people that are coming out of high school, in college. This show is for you too, because it's very prevalent and relevant to you all as you go into the job force.
Absolutely.
So Carmen's question is, what age is it normal to have a resume? Very good question as it relates to the young people. What's a good age range to have a resume?
I say maybe like when are kids able to start working? Like 13, 14. And the good thing about that is it does not have to always be about work experience. Think about your volunteerism, any after school organizations, especially if you hold a position in that. If you've babysat, if you've been on the sports team, those are you're gaining a lot of transferable skills in those areas. Leadership, communication, working within a team, leading a project, your interpersonal skills, trying to think, just some other things like that every position, John, that you apply for from here on out, those are going to be the top skills that you will always see on a job description. Can you get along with others? How do you handle like conflict resolution? So if you are already building those skills at 13, 14, and 15, as you are maturing, all you're doing is just perfecting and getting more experience on that.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I'm really happy about with the high school that my children go to, is that they teach them that community service is just as important as the skills and the qualifications that you bring to the table as it relates to your job. So thank you for shining light on that. I'm going to go to Mr. Hoodie, who always drops bomb questions in the box. His question is, how can job seekers identify and include relevant keywords in their resume? Very good question. Very, very good question.
So you can always get, pretty much the employer or that job is telling you exactly what they want in that job description, right? If you've ever used like Indeed, right? It's going to tell you this is about the job. This is what we're looking for, your qualification, skill set. And so all you do is take that job description and you tailor that into your own words and your experiences into your resume. Now, if it's something that, you don't have, obviously you don't want to put that on there. But for the most part, that job description is going to tell you exactly how to put that resume together. You want to always make tailoring that resume. Not so much your experiences will change because, you did what you did in that particular job, but try to connect the dots that, well, I didn't exactly do that, but I did do something similar to that. And then you can formulate, that bulleted statement for your resume. So that using that job description is going to take you a long way.
Perfect. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
As the answer. We're going to skip now because Mr. Hoodie asked a bunch of questions, but we want to ask this question from Glenda. Is it important to include references with your resume and cover letter? Very good question, because back in the day, references are very important as it relates to applications, as it relates to resumes. So should you include resume or references in your resume?
That is my biggest pet peeve. Please do not include references on your resume. If you have references on your resume, that's an automatic going to the no pile. And I will tell you why. One, like I said before, things have changed tremendously from when resume writing was just a kind of standardized type of deal. Now you have to think about safety, identity, theft, all of these things. If you want to include references, you create a separate reference sheet, right? Don't even put references available upon request on your resume, because that is already assume that, okay, if you really want this job and I ask you for references, you will provide those. So do not include references or references available on request on your resume.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I actually learned that because what someone told me is that when you do your job application, most of the times when you do your job application online, it actually asks you for references anyway at the end of the application.
There you go.
So you don't even have to include it because it's just an additional piece of paper that they don't want to read.
Make sure you ask that before you put the references, make sure you have their permission too.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's an important part. A lot of people do not realize how important it is to verify with people before you use them as a reference, particularly when you're going for a job, because sometimes people are like, oh, I didn't know she was going to use me as a reference. And
yes,
it can kind of go either way. So yes, definitely get clarity about if you should use a person as in a reference for sure. I'm going to drop one more question from the box, and then we're going to give tips and tools. This is from Tasha. Should I specialize my resume or keep it general? That's a very good question. As it relates to a job, should you specify it specifically tailor-made to that job, or should you just keep it as a general type of resume?
So one or two things. If there is a particular job that you are submitting this resume to, of course you want to tailor that that resume for that, especially in that professional summary. What I've seen a lot too is people are still using the word objective. That's another out of here, right? The word objective is outdated, and now it is considered to be self-centered, because now you are telling the employer what you want from them versus you telling them what you can bring to the table. So yes, you want to always do that. Now, if there's not a particular position, but maybe an industry, then you can do a general summary, again, using some of that industry terminology or lingo, just to show that employer that, they can connect the dots, like, oh, okay, this person is interested in this industry and I don't see like there's a particular job or what have you, but that professional summary is going to just set that tone right there in the front. So yeah, tailor it if you are applying for something specific. If not, then just create like a general professional summary statement.
Perfect. I absolutely love that. And here's the other part that I always knew too, and that someone actually told me as well, is that most of the time people don't do the same job throughout their lifetime, right? You have some people that do customer service and sales and retail and managerial. So you have to customize your resume to that job if that's what you're trying to do. You wouldn't go into, for example, a clerical job talking about, what sales you made at the grocery store, what, generated income you made, because that has no relevance to the position at hand. So absolutely. We're going to now drop some tips and tools just for you. As you very well know, we always have tips and tools for you guys. And I love these particular tips because they came from a college website, Walden University. And I think that some of these tips are pretty relevant and prevalent and are necessary in order to give yourself the best resume and to go from, as they say, good to great. So number one, Shaun.
Give yourself credit.
So your resume isn't the place to be shy. It's a place to highlight your accomplishments. It's all about talking about relevant achievement, education, and skills. Take advantage of the unique opportunity and show the world your best professional self. It's important to kind of show off the skill sets and the things that you bring to the table, right?
Yeah.
Again, this is not just a regular document. This is something that you will actually use as the base to showing people who you are, right? So show off those skill sets, put yourself out there, and give yourself some credit when you've actually done something great.
There you go.
Number two.
Highlight your education.
So, did you earn a degree from an on-campus or online college or university, receive some training, or obtained an industry-specific certification? Employers like to hire well-educated employees, so be sure to mention all relevant education. My question to you, LaTanya, is why is it important that people highlight their educational background and or training in their resume?
Yeah, that's a good question. Your education and that training, that's that relevant piece, right? Especially if you do not have that experience. I might not have the work experience, but now I have the theories and I have the methodologies behind this industry or this particular job. Any training, again, that's relevant, any certifications, organizations that you belong to that, again, are relevant to what you are applying to. It's always a really good thing to put on there. I will say this because I think this is important too. When it comes to your education, if you have any post-secondary education, an associate's, bachelor's, master's, doctorate, whatever, it's not necessary to keep your high school information on there, okay? Because an employer is going to assume that, okay, well, she has a degree, she either has this diploma or a GED. Those things can go on a resume. If you started a degree but you did not finish, then it would be a good idea to include maybe the number of credits you've earned along with some of the relevant courses that you took. That's always a good thing to include. GPA, if it is 3.0 and above, definitely include the GPA. Anything below that, I would not. And so, yes, employers love educated folks. That to them shows that you can think on a higher critical level, that I can use something and that you can take that and run with it with minimal guidance. And so I definitely agree with keeping that education relevant. Staying on top of any industry specific certifications is always a good thing too.
Absolutely. And I was going to say, add to that too, is that sometimes I think when we think of resume, we think of degree. And let me say this to all those that are out there. Degrees are great. So let me start by saying that if you have a degree, that's even better on a resume. But certifications hold as much weight sometimes, depending upon the job, as a degree. So don't get struck by thinking that, okay, I have to go to a 4-year or a 2-year in order for an employer to consider me. If you have a certification, certifications definitely hold weight on resumes. So keep that in mind when you're going through your post-secondary education. Absolutely. All right. Number 3.
Write professionally.
So a resume is your first impression on potential employers. That's why it's essential to present yourself in a professional manner. No matter what the industry you're in or what education level you might be, good resumes should be polished, use correct grammar, and are free from punctuation and spelling errors. That's one of the things that we are teaching our children as they even do work at school. Like, just because your teachers may not require punctuation and capitalization, those things will matter when you go out into the workforce.
Yes, they do.
So please make sure that you do that. So that's shout out to all the high schoolers that are getting ready to leave and go into the real world. Number 4,
avoid jargon.
You may believe it, may sound more professional, but everyone reading your resume will be a member of your industry, particularly those that are looking at your resume. Human resources professionals, for example, may be the first to see your resume, and they may not be familiar with certain terminology. Those who may think that you're substituting jargon for actual experience. It's good to communicate that you're familiar with industry language, but explain actual responsibilities and achievements. LaTanya, I'm gonna ask you that question as well too. For someone like this young lady who is in the automotive industry, and they may use certain language and terminology on there, why might that not be acceptable at certain employers?
Yes. So every industry has its own terminology, language, all of that. And so you want to steer clear from including any of that, because not everybody's going to know what that means. It's just like with texting. I literally just found out what it means on Facebook, and I was like, what does NGL mean? Right? So just think of your audience who's going to read this, especially if it's not in the industry, but you have either that certification or that knowledge. Try to steer away from acronyms as well, unless if you write it out, maybe write it out and then in parentheses you can include like the acronyms, again, just because not everybody speaks the same language across the boards.
Absolutely. And just so that you can know, we have teenagers as well too, and they text us the other day, TBH, and we're like, what the heck is TBH? To be honest, never knew what the word actually meant.
All right.
But here we go. We're now hip in the game and know what TBH means.
Right.
So,
all the sentences.
Yes.
yeah, everything's abbreviated and shortened for sure. The next one.
Think beyond jobs.
So when writing a resume, it's easy to overlook volunteer work or even part-time work. Did you donate your time and effort to a religious organization, a senior living community, a hospital, or an animal shelter? Did you work as a nanny during the summer? Take time to think in terms of skills you've developed and responsibilities you took on to these types of roles and highlight them in your resume. And that is important, because I think sometimes we don't want to look at maybe the jobs that are seasonal, or that we don't want to look at the jobs that were contracted because they're so short. But those things might be prevalent and relevant to your resume. So always keep those things in mind as well too. Number 6.
Don't overdo it.
Here's the counterpoint to the previous tip. Depending on your age and experience, a good resume should only be about 1 to 2 pages long. Now, we've already talked about 2 pages might be counterintuitive because, you only have that 6 to 8 seconds when a recruiter or a manager is actually looking at your resume. There's no need to list every responsibility you ever had. And often there's no need to list every job you ever did. Unless your summer pizza job is relevant to your current employment goals, don't include it. It's probably not going to add anything additional to your resume. And we talked about that, because sometimes when we're writing a resume, we want to write everything. We want to make sure that we're making such a good impression. But sometimes what that looks like is kind of like overkill. We're honest about it.
Less is more. Believe me, more.
Absolutely. And one of the things I learned in culinary school a long, long time ago is the KISS method. Keep it simple, stoop. I'm not going to say the word, but stoop. But keep it simple, because I think sometimes we want to add all these things to make it look flavorful, but really all it is over seasoned. So just keep it simple. You know what I mean? All right. Number 7.
Keep things relevant.
Absolutely. So when writing your resume, it's important to emphasize any experience related to the job you're applying for. And we talked a little bit about that as well too. While a general resume is appropriate for creating an account on a job search website, when you're applying directly for a specific position, a good resume is customized for the particular job description. And we talked a lot about making sure that when you're doing your resume, that it is customized to the job itself, right? You wouldn't talk about like we talked about, delivering pizzas for a clerical job. Those two things are not hand in hand. So make sure that when you're doing things, keep it relevant. And we talked about the importance of that too. I'm actually going to drop a comment on here. This is from Leanna Diva. So proud of my sister friend. She has helped me with my resume, and I'm so thankful for her amazing skills. Listen, it's nothing better than having an expert to help you, to hook you up. So I'm so glad that LaTanya, you shared LaTanya with us so that she could be a part of the show and bless the people with her skill set. I just had to jump that little comment in there in the middle of our the little nugget in the middle of our skills. All right, we're going to continue on our skills. And number 8,
Start with your story.
good resumes begin with a good summary. Since online application processes may not allow you to send a cover letter when writing a resume, introduce yourself with a short overview. What did you excel at? What are some commonalities between them? Note all these in a concise, active way in your introduction. So I'm going to ask this question to you, LaTanya. What are some things, and we talked a little bit about it, but what are some things that you can include in your introduction or in your story of your resume?
So in that summary, you definitely want to, this is your golden opportunity to brag on yourself, right? And I know a lot of people are not comfortable with doing so, but you have to keep in mind that there's this one position and these employers are receiving hundreds of resumes a day. So you want to give yourself that edge and really market yourself. For me, I've been in the industry over 20 years. So I think I have on my resume now, like dedicated career professional with over 20 years experience, changing and empowering individuals, blah, 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 blah. Even right there, I'm just like, ooh, okay, let me see let me continue reading. And then that just kind of again sets the tone of the resume. So a couple of sentences, 3 to 5 sentences that really talk about what you can bring to the table and who you are. You definitely want to include that there. I am on the fence about personalizing it too, because a lot of people, it's hard to write about yourself without saying I, right? So that's a tricky part there too. So you want to make sure, and that's when that AI comes in. Like you can type, I'm trying to say this, but how can I say it without using the word I, or how do I not personalize it? You can use that for that. So you want to just be able, again, that's 3 to 5 sentences. That's your moment right there to set the stage for that resume. Talk about yourself. Talk about those quantifiable achievements and things like that. That's your moment to grab that recruiter or hiring manager's eye right then and there.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. We're going to end with our last 2 tips of the night. So number 9,
Tell the truth.
simply put, it's never a good idea to lie on your resume. Good resumes are honest, and dishonesty, just listing it in your job, will actually cause more harm than good. Inflating your responsibilities or exaggerating your accomplishment also counts as lying. If you're not sure whether you're simply presenting yourself as strongly as possible or crossing the line into dishonesty, ask yourself whether your supervisor in each listed role would agree with your description. So I always come from this analogy. If my boss is sitting, or my ex-boss is sitting next to me, and I'm writing about what I did, will my boss look at me like, girl, you didn't do that? Stop lying. If your boss would say that, you probably didn't do it, right? So I know you want to get the job, but you also want to do it in an honest way, because these employers actually depend on you to be able to know that you're doing these things correctly, or that you actually know how to do these things. I'm going to tell you about an experience I had, and I know we're over time, but I'm going to talk about experience that I had because I want to kind of make you guys laugh, but I also want to show you the seriousness behind it. I remember when I was applying for a job, I was in my 20s, and I put fluent in Spanish.
Yep.
Now, let me segue and say this. My mother is Hispanic, so she has Spanish blood in her, right? But I took it too far and said fluent in Spanish, right? And my recruiter called me and he says, "Oh, I heard that you were fluent in Spanish." So he begins to have a conversation with me. I didn't manage to understand anything other than, "How are you? How old are you?" Because he did ask me that. Everything else was a blur. So be honest about what you can do. Now, when I have Spanish on my resume, because I do speak a little bit, so I'll say I'm proficient in Spanish, because that's a lot different than saying fluent.
Yes.
So I would never do that ever again. Yeah. It's a hard lesson to learn.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 10.
Seek help if you need it.
So writing a good resume isn't easy. If you're unsure on how to write a good resume for your industry or career level, reach out to someone knowledgeable. Like LaTanya Miles. If you're enrolled or on campus or online college or university, take advantage of your institution's career planning and development. There are lots of people that can help you with resume building. I'm going to shout out to LaTanya because she's already on the show. She's an expert at what she does. So if you need to learn how to do a good resume and you need to learn how to write a resume that will be eye-catching, talk to someone who's an expert at it and not try to do it on your own, because sometimes you need a little bit of a help to kind of get the resume going, right?
Absolutely, you do.
Absolutely.
You got to get that little extra boost to make sure you get the job that you really want. You want to get the right person to help you get it.
Absolutely. Shaun is going to ask the last question of the night to you, Miss LaTanya. So, Shaun,
what would be the advice you get to someone who doesn't know how to or where to go to build a great resume?
Great question.
That is an amazing question. For someone that doesn't know how to build a resume, I would definitely say Google. Use your free resources first and foremost. You can find any and everything online. And so you will be able to start there. You should not have to pay for anything to even view just like an outline or anything. There's tons of free resources. Indeed even has a free resume resource that already has the template set up for you, and all you have to do is just go and plug that information in. So that's a good place to start. I'm not sure if people are old school like I am, that like to still touch paper and read books and go to the library. They have tons of free resources there. And don't be afraid to go to your local community college. They do have career centers there. I know the employer that I have, our services are open to the public too. So that might be a place to check out. Go to their career center and speak to, one of the representatives there and just let them know that you need help with putting a resume together. Or you can reach out to me.
Absolutely.
I can help you put a resume together. It's a tedious process. I will say that. And kind of to piggyback off of your funny story, I was trying to update my resume and make sure I was keeping it relevant with the new certifications and updating some of the new tasks and things that I have been doing in my current role. And I struggled. I think I put on Facebook looking for a professional resume writer myself, because it's really hard to really, just sit there with yourself and think about what you do every day. I think, especially if you've been in a role for so long, it just becomes, robotic, that you don't even really think about every single thing that you do. Yes, I'm an administrative assistant here and I'm doing this, but I'm also over the budget. I have to do payroll. I'm scheduling meetings. I'm doing travel itineraries, expense reports, all of those things. So when I sit down with the client, I literally have them just walk me through your daily routine. And then they're even surprised, like, oh my God, I do a lot. I'm not just in this bubble. So definitely, connect with those free resources that are available to you, because they are definitely out there.
Absolutely. LaTanya, you're the GOAT. I don't care what anybody says. You are the GOAT. If people want to know where they can find you on social media, if they have questions, if they just need a little bit of help, where can they find you on social media?
So I'm in between social media platforms. I am right now, my Facebook page, it's Tailormade Resumes, is on Facebook right now. I'm having a website reconstructed to show off the new packages and other things that I'll be offering, one-on-one sessions, some career resources that I'm putting together, that I want to be able to share with the public. And trying to think what else. For right now, you can just find me on Facebook for right now, and I will definitely connect with you guys when the website is up, to hopefully you guys can share that information with your folks there, and just stay in contact with me. That's going to be key, because I am really just trying to build this brand and just share the knowledge, because what you don't know, you don't know. And especially for minorities, I think, one, I don't know, I guess we're just prideful people, that we don't always like to ask for help or know where to get it, or you know what, don't worry about it, I'll figure it out myself. I need help, right? So I am not going to ask, but I am available. And like you mentioned, I am in Texas, but as long as we have this thing called the internet, I am accessible all over.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Well, y'all better get in where you fit in. And yes, we will absolutely love to be able to share your information once everything gets live. And we're going to put some positive energy and all those things out there to you, that everything will be successful, because you've got a great thing going to support others who need help when it comes to their resumes. Absolutely. All right. We're going to end our...
This was a great opportunity, and thank you for the conversation that we had before about Houston being affected by that storm. So just keep us all in prayer, keep the city in prayer, and just keep everyone in prayer, actually, because we all need that. So thank you guys again for the invitation and this opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you for being a part of it. It's been just great. Seriously great.
Yes.
Before we close our show with our Bible verse and our quote, tune in next Saturday as we talk about purpose through pain, parent guilt. My apologies. I'm excited about this show. We sometimes don't talk about parent guilt, and we don't talk about going through purpose when it's painful. So we're going to be talking about that with our very special guest, Jasmira Smothers. We're so excited about having her on the show. She's going to talk a little bit about her story and hopefully encourage you to have purpose through your pain. So make sure you tune in. I cannot talk. I am tongue-tied today. Tune in at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as we talk about pain through purpose with Jasmira Smothers. Sean's going to read our quote of the night, and I got our Bible verse. So Sean,
take it away.
Absolutely.
I will. So the quote tonight is by Jessica Hernandez. Your resume is the chief at... something with that. I'm so sorry. I'm okay.
Your resume is the chief, and look at me.
See?
Let's just say it this way. Your resume is the chief of your career, the best instrument for securing employment. Sorry, y'all. We got it all tongue-tied, twisted, and everything.
Tongue just ran away. So I guess I'll read the Bible verse.
Absolutely.
She read the quote. Colossians 3:23 and 24. 23, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters. 24, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as reward. It is the Lord's Christ you are serving.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for tuning in to Building a Great, not even just a great resume with our special guest, LaTanya Miles. Until the next time we meet, we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye, guys.